Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada. We love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful June the 26th, 2019. Guando Deportes, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Charlton, we live as lavishly down here in the heat, the humidity and all of that. We're watching baseball as people are continuously hitting home runs out of the park. We miss hockey with all the fights that went on and everything.
Yeah.
So I guess we have to wait on the MMA.
Yeah. MMA is always happening. They've been talking to partners about putting together MMA, streaming it all over the world. In fact, streaming MMA all over the universe. But sometimes people are still trying to get that fine-tuned fight channel tuned up. But Big C Sports is going anyway, leaving nobody behind, but not waiting for anybody. A lot of going on in the sports universe. It's actually tonight, the DNC, they start their campaigning to become the next POTUS of the United States down in Florida. And I don't know why all the good old boys go to Florida. Don't they know to stay away from Jupiter, Florida with Bob Kraft, Big C? It's all fair in the sports universe. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. There's a lot going on in sports, Big C. I just know that everybody, it's every like we say, it's all fair in love and war. And some people say, what does that mean? Well, war is not fair and love is not fair. So when you say it's all fair, it's kind of a opposite speak, but that's what's happening. And before we even get into that, because of the tragedies going on, and I really thank you, Big C, for talking about this hotline. I don't know what parent would not just feel cringes. I know you want to watch a sports game. I know you want to see who won the game. But when you see what's going on down in Texas, where a father passed away with his daughter in his arms because we've made it difficult since the Obama administration for people to seek asylum. And those people that you saw those pictures of, if you saw them, the President of the United States calls them monsters. So when you see a monster laying there deceased with his daughter, you don't have empathy for it. But I saw a movie one time with Sam Jackson and Matthew McConaughey. Similar situation. And Matthew McConaughey argued as a lawyer. He said, just imagine if those people were white. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, the president has dehumanized people of dark complexion in this country and people trying to come to this country. If you wanted to stop mass migration into the United States, all you have to do is stand at the airport.
Yeah.
I mean, we have more people overstaying their visas than we have people crossing the southern border.
Yeah.
But they look like the president, so he's not bothered by that.
Yeah.
And these tragedies, yes, the one we saw with the young father and the young daughter, I mean, it's a total tragedy, Charlton. But those are human beings.
Yeah.
Those are not animals. Those are human beings seeking a better life.
Yeah.
And for anybody not to be moved by this, and people are going to say, well, it's the father's fault. No, the father came to a legal port of entry, trying to get into the U.S. and was turned away.
Yep.
And so he sought another way of entry into the country, and he was swept away with his daughter, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And they perished. But this could be avoided, just like all the detention centers that they're holding children in. They're down in Florida right now tonight, the Democrats talking.
Yeah.
There's a detention center in Florida that's holding 2,700 children.
Wow.
2,700 minors. And it's for-profit detention center that they're making money off the government. The government is not running. The government is paying these people to house these minors, Charlton.
Wow.
They can't even have physical contact with a sibling. They can't touch each other. They're limited to 5 minutes in a shower.
Wow.
They're limited to everything that they can get, Charlton. Limited food, all of that. It's just like a prison that these 2,700 migrant minors, are put into.
Yeah.
And you think about, these are children. These are not criminals. These are not gang members. These are not drug mules.
No.
But the president won't talk about it. He'll say, well, Obama built the cages. Well, all you got to do is open the door. Don't blame what somebody else did and say you're okay with that. Right the wrong. All you got to do is release all of these children, Charlton.
Well, it was meant for short term, not long term. And having there was a lady, if you've ever been to Northern California, Oakland, there are two twin towers. They're about 20 stories tall. And I think it's named after Ron Dellums, the Dellums Towers. I think that's what they're called, downtown Oakland. And there was a woman on CNN News last night, and she had the downtown Oakland as the backdrop. And I saw those towers, and the twin towers have a significant meaning. Like together we stand. Or when people have children and they have twins, they're identical. Well, what's identical and about liberty and justice for all? That means we stand with everybody. And again, just like the great Matthew McConaughey said in a movie, I think it was called A Time to Kill, and the great Sam Jackson he had defended his daughter because some good old boys took advantage of his daughter in the most horrific way, and so Sam killed him to defend his daughter. And they set him in front of an all-white jury with the Bible in one hand, like a lot of people do, and believing in God. And I wonder, when we saw whether it's POTUS or any Republican, and maybe even some Democrats, they have never seen an image of white children that met their death because they were seeking freedom without trying to go to war over it. They haven't done that. They've always wanted to invade a country that harmed anyone white. And I know it's about color. It's not about nationalism. It's not about ethnicity. It's all about xenophobia and this buildup of calling people monsters. So I wonder if the president will eulogize that young daughter and her father because he called them monsters before they met their ending. And I wonder what decent American that has children, no matter what color they are, would stand up for a person that calls that young girl laying in the water with her father a monster. But POTUS did that, and it created the enmity that makes it okay. How did he still get the vote, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, every politician in America should be ashamed of what they saw on television in that horrific image. Because every politician was voted into office to stand for the people, to represent the people. Not just the president, Charlton. They're all our congressmen and all our senators. They were voted into office to represent the people. They're not doing their job, Charlton. I mean, we're all going to point the finger at the president. Yes, the buck should stop with him.
That's what he said.
Because he has the power of the pen to have an executive order. He said there was a crisis at the border. He got $4.5 billion, Charlton, for this crisis. Yet he has not spent any of it in aid relief to help these migrants, Charlton.
No.
So we look at the Congress, we look at the Senate. They're all avoiding their responsibility to this nation and the people who are trying to come into this nation, Charlton. They're bickering over their status, how they're going to live their lives, Charlton. They're not concerned about their constituents. You're going to have a debate tonight. You got 20 candidates standing on stage. Everybody with a different agenda and a different message, Charlton. There's no uniformity. If you have 20 people running for office on one side, there's no uniformity in the party. Their agenda is not about helping everybody, Charlton. It's about taking care of themselves first.
It's about themselves first. So and again, for people who just want to watch a game and see who won the game, that's because you don't see blonde-haired, blue-eyed kids with their fathers laying there deceased trying to seek freedom. I'm sure Native Americans understand the plight of what that man and his daughter felt, and I know many African Americans do. But I'm just reaching out to the higher self of all decent people. I know there's some people who will never be decent because they applaud when they saw that. They say, well, they shouldn't have come here then. That's because some people forget how they got here from Europe. They forget fast, Big C. But I just know whether it's Cory Booker or whether it's de Blasio or Julian Castro, no matter who it is, they can't just come out and ask for the vote while people who look like some of their kids and grandchildren are perishing because of American policies. I'm not saying who to vote for, but I know they're going to talk about how they're tough on crime. They're going to talk about how they're good for jobs and lowering taxes. We've heard that before. But when they demonize somebody, they've all demonized people of color, except for the black candidates, Big C. And I want to know how, just in the closing on this before we get off the national hotline number, Is there anything new you're expecting to hear? Well, they act like they're all tough on crime, but the same thing what we're doing to people coming here is criminal itself. Bixie, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, everybody has a singular message that they've been singing forever.
Yeah.
I think the strongest message of all the candidates comes from Bernie Sanders when he talks about relieving student debt, Charlton.
Yeah.
Wiping out student debt. You think about how that's moving America forward.
Yeah.
You think about 45 million Americans, Charlton, would be have their student debt wiped out.
Yep.
Think about the economic advantage that puts into society, Charlton. Now you can move forward with your family and your future.
Yeah.
That's what we need to have in American president, Charlton. Somebody who is helping the citizens, not helping their lobbyists.
Yeah. Well, we know lobbyists are huge, and money talks, and people will feel this lachrymose speech that people will give, and maybe we just gave one about how sad it is to see someone who perished, but a young girl still in a diaper, trying to get to freedom. If anyone could just, like Sam Jackson and Matthew McConaughey said in A Time to Kill, imagine if that were your own child. Imagine if they were white for many of Trump's base. Imagine that blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl drowned in the just trying to seek freedom in a country that says give us you're tired and you're poor. That's really painful. I know my family has many different groups in it, ethnic groups, and there's some who meet that monster category that he said they're just monsters because they are Mexican. But they're not monsters. They're people that I care about. But if we don't say anything about it, then we're just like everybody else that says, man, can you believe that Durant and can you believe that Harden might want to sign with different teams? I mean, enough of that. Got to have a heart. But I will just say, for everybody who's trying to get elected, congratulations on getting there. I hope that you'll stand up for what's right for human beings and not just what's right for your pocketbook. I want to give out that national hotline number before we talk about a few sports. And Big C, as you often do, very prescient, is why I call you the mystic. You were talking about that national suicide hotline number. Now, there are people who are missing. There's a white student, I think, in Utah who is missing. I don't know if they found it yet. I just saw some things with the news the last couple of days. There was more emphasis put on a white girl, a college student who's missing, than a Hispanic girl that died with her father. I've seen it all over the news. White girl missing. Does anyone know where she is? As if that has any more importance than anybody else. What a shame. National Suicide Hotline number, 800-273-8255, 800-273-8255. If you want to text, if you're dealing with being bullied, if you're dealing with any kind of thing that you don't want to talk to your parents about, you can text 838-255. That's 838-255 and get some help. Big C, have you noticed the girl in Utah has gotten more attention for being missing? They don't know if she's alive or not than someone who actually deceased, and they keep showing it on TV, which I also think is painful. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's how our society is divided. You think about those people who lost their lives out in the river yesterday. You think about the number of Americans who have lost their lives down in the Dominican Republic on vacation.
Yeah.
And the emphasis is put on them. But, you know, they were down there because they chose to be down there, Charlton.
Yeah.
These people did not want to swim in a river to get into this country to freedom, Charlton.
Nope.
But we're having our security department looking into another country because Americans have lost their lives down there.
Yeah.
We have Hispanics losing their lives on the southern border, Charlton.
Yeah.
We saw the horrific photographs yesterday.
Yeah.
But there are dozens. I mean, in the last month alone, you know, the Border Patrol has found 22 drownings.
Wow.
22 drownings. We just happened to see the one on television because a photographer took a picture of it.
Right.
But there's been 22 drownings, people trying to cross over into the U.S.
Yeah.
that the Border Patrol has found. So when we think about this, these are things that are hidden by our politicians, by our news media, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because they're all one synonymous with each other.
Yep.
Let's not bring out the horrific part of what's going on. It's just like these children that have been in detention. They can't get any hygienic products. They can't get soap.
Wow.
They can't get toothpaste. They can't get diapers for the babies. Because these detention centers, Charlton, because they're government run, cannot accept private donations from private citizens.
Wow.
Private citizens have dropped off these necessities for these people in the detention centers. But unless it's provided by the government, Charlton, it cannot be distributed by the employees.
That's a
So
shame.
these people are going without in these facilities. So it's worse than a jail, Charlton. You think about the emphasis that's been put on Santa Anita.
Yeah.
23 horses
racetrack.
died in Santa Anita, Charlton.
Right.
23 horses.
Yeah.
You know, horses. Not people, horses.
Right.
And you got politicians like Dianne Feinstein talking about, closing down the racetrack.
Right.
She's not talking about helping migrants coming across the border, Charlton.
No.
She's more concerned about horses than she are about human beings.
It depends on where your priorities are, Big C. They own half the real estate in San Francisco, at least when it comes to rental housing, Big C. It's amazing. But we all know it's all fair and love and war. But if you listen to ignorant media, you won't even know that they've had drownings like at a mass number of people trying to come here. Human beings, not monsters. There's a difference. Remember, we talked about that same thing for the NBA, how mainstream media, which is considered white, they want to call black athletes freaks and specimens. He's a specimen. He's a freak. They don't do that to white kids. They don't do it to white women. They don't call white women freaks. So when the president says that these are monsters, who cares if the monster drowns, Big C? It's subconsciously sick when people say that's okay. Because they don't do anything about it, that means they tacitly consent to it. What a shame. I do want to hope that we come to a higher consciousness for all people. And I want to start with going over to Europe. The World Cup can bring the whole world together. And I hope that the world can have a moment of silence. I mean, tragedies happen all over the world. I'm not trying to be naive. But maybe in this World Cup, we can have a moment of silence for the tragedies that are going on, at least in the American border, and there's countries in Africa. It's all over the world. But we need some conscious people to stand up, not just one who's going to kick a ball. I want to say that I was watching Al Roker this morning, because I said, Al Roker, I said, Big C's doing the weather on, I said, he don't look like Big C, but he had the same kind of haircut as Big C. But Al Roker was saying, now think about this. I know people say there's no global warming. Historic heat in 9 countries in Europe expected to break national all-time highs. Believe this, France. We have the United States playing France in the World Cup on Friday. They're expecting 111 degrees temperature, Big C, in France. Luxembourg, 104. Switzerland, 104. Belgium, 102. Germany, 105. The Czech Republic, 105. Austria, 105. That's a world record for heat, Big C. There's no global warming, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, according to PROTUS, no, this is just something that's occurring. But, everybody recognizes there's global warming, Charlton. Climate change has occurred around the world for decades. We see the melting of the polar ice cap, Charlton.
Yep.
The seasons changing, getting shorter or getting longer. Less rain at times. I mean, you're out there on the West Coast. You guys are having horrific fires every year.
Yeah.
Because of the dry climate, Charlton. The less waterfall. And people are saying, well, they need to manage the land better. You can't manage the land without water.
That's true.
You can't keep things green without water.
That's true.
And so if the rainfall is lessened because of global warming, Charlton, then you're going to have these tragedies and these travesties that go on.
Yeah.
But, when we listen to our administration, our current administration say there's no such thing as global warming.
Right.
They're just having some change in climate a couple of times. This is the same thing. The same administration says there's monsters crossing the southern border, and yet our biggest drug busts are coming through seaports in the last couple of months.
Yeah, that's very true, Big C. So I know you were not on. Were you on NBC Today show this morning or no? I just want to make sure. Can I verify?
Well, yeah, I think I was asleep at that time.
Okay, just because Al Roker has your same haircut, but I said a lot of black men have that haircut. But when you look at World Cup, I know a lot of the countries that are European countries that are in the World Cup. I guess if you were football, it'd be more dangerous for anyone to play football in an 111 degree temperature. I remember Corey Stringer, the football player for the Vikings back in the day, but he was a 300-plus pounder. Most of these soccer women are probably under 145, 150, so maybe they can handle that. But as an athlete, they're not playing with uniforms and pads like you did back in the day. But did you ever see where they can say, we're going to change the time of the World Cup and maybe play at nighttime? Because we don't need a tragedy because someone passed out in 110 degree temperature. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you don't even have to go as far back as Corey Stringer. Think about Jordan McNair, the offensive lineman at the University of Maryland last year, who succumbed to heat because of lack of care from the medical staff on the team, Charlton. And so when we look at these high heat densities that are going to be in Europe this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can change the time because, they have broadcasting that they're looking at.
Yeah.
That's the thing that they're most interested in. Now, you think about college football, Charlton. College football has always played in the heat. Think about the University of Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to be in a hot spot down in Tucson or Arizona State. I mean, they normally would play night games, but it would still be 100 degrees at kickoff.
Yeah.
So, the thing with these women, they're mostly going to be playing on grass. You got to stay hydrated. I think with medical technology now, and since this is a World Cup team, that they're going to have some of the best, physical therapists around, Charlton, monitoring these women.
Yeah. Well, I just hope for the best. We're always out for safety first, and I know that they'll have the best medicine, but I'm sure they've had it at colleges where players have had issues too. I just hope for better conditions, and so that people can stay hydrated, make sure they do that. I also want to look at the College World Series tonight, and this is how it should be. It should be the best of three. You have the SEC versus the Big Ten. Oftentimes, those are the conferences that people might look at for a football championship or maybe basketball championship. But to see it happening in baseball and softball, we had the Pac-12 and UCLA versus the Big 12 in Oklahoma. UCLA won. Just so you recall, Big C, they are from the Pac-12, and so for the women's side. Now we have a big...
Only girls sports are powerful out there in the Pac-12.
Hey, it's all fair.
Only girls sports, okay?
I understand. Well, Stanford men's won a golf championship too, so just keep that in mind. But
hey, they don't have no contact.
They contact the ball, Big Z, and they got to drive it down the green. So that's macho. You got to be macho to drive it down the green. But give me your feeling. It's like bragging rights because SEC is really sports everything. They're always putting teams. Auburn should have been, in my opinion, in the national championship game, but sometimes you don't call a foul or you call a foul is in the eye of the official. And then you look at football, of course, Alabama was there and played Clemson last year. It seems Alabama's every year. The Big Ten, outside of Ohio State beating Oregon several years ago, they've been absent from playing for a national championship. But I know Michigan's always knocking on that door. Will they get there in baseball? Give me your feeling. A dominant performance last night. It's actually 4-1 by Vanderbilt. Their dominant pitcher, which should be playing Major League Baseball, Big C, at least next season. It'd be nice if they could start him again tonight, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, the legend of Camille Rocker, Charlton, just grew even more last night.
Yeah.
He was dominating in the 7 innings that
Amazing.
he pitched against Michigan. And when you look at what this young man has done as a freshman, he is unfazed when he's on the mound.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been one of the most enjoyable College World Series that you could ever watch. Michigan dominated Game 1. Vanderbilt rebounded in Game 2.
Yeah.
And they're hoping to win, Charlton, their second championship in the last 6 years that they won in 2015. They were runner-up in 2016.
Yeah.
Michigan won last in 1962.
Yeah.
So when you look at these programs, Charlton, and they're both done the right way, when you think about Vanderbilt, an academic institution which television does not give enough credit to.
Right.
When you think about the high academic standards of this great institution in the SEC.
Yep.
That, it's like Stanford on the West Coast. You have to have a GPA to get in. You have to qualify before you can take a scholarship.
Yeah.
So that's one of the points that are being missed by the broadcasters who are covering this game, Charlton, this great game of college baseball, is the academic standard of the young men at the University of Vanderbilt. Not to say that Michigan is not an outstanding academic institution, Charlton. Tremendous athletes.
Yeah.
They've been road warriors this entire series. They went out to the West Coast and beat up on some of those Pac-12 teams. I guess they were sipping too much Kool-Aid when they, thinking they had the home field advantage.
White business,
Michigan went out there like a bad Wolverine and just tore through them.
Yeah.
But, it's been exciting. You think about the players that have represented the universities, Charlton.
Yes.
And this is the way it should be. The winner, 2 out of 3, that it's not a sweep. And the champion will be crowned tonight because they will win it on the field.
And some of that Michigan Wolverine history. The Wolverines made the College World Series 8 times, winning 2 national championships, as you mentioned, in 1953, the last one 1962. And they're the 4th winner in this program in his NCAA Division I baseball history. They only trail, this might be a repeat, but they only trail Fordham, Texas, and the mighty USC Trojans from Southern California. Your thoughts on, it's not bad when you're the 4th most dominant team in Division I college baseball. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you're the force most dominant over history, Charlton, but
Yep.
you're dominating currently.
Yeah.
You know, those past records, it's like when you look at the University of Oklahoma with the longest winning streak in college football history at 58.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was years ago back in the 50s when that happened.
Yeah.
So when you want to talk about a dominant program, something that would never be duplicated.
Yeah. And again, for Vanderbilt, just representing the SEC in fine glory, I really love their picture. No matter who wins the game tonight, it's great when you have NBA won at a Game 7, didn't quite get there. Too many players were injured for Golden State. And then we got it in NHL, and it's nice to have a Game 3 for the men to decide who's going to win the championship. I look forward to a great game. A lot of these young men will have the chance to play baseball competitively for the last time. And give me what thought you would give to players that won't have a chance to go on to the next level. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, regardless of whether you move on or you don't move on, you always play each game like it's your last game.
Yeah.
To get to this point, to be immortalized, winning a college World Series, Charlton, that's the goal of every college athlete, to win a championship in the division that you're playing in.
Yeah.
And these two teams, the players have an opportunity to realize that tonight.
Yep.
You know, there's some players on the Vanderbilt team that this is their second run
Yeah.
at a chance of winning a championship.
Yeah.
So they'll make history if they do that for their university.
Yeah, congratulations both teams. It's really good to see that. I want to just congratulate a fellow broadcaster. I don't know the man, but Bob Lee, he's retiring after 40 years at ESPN. He hosted the first 10 televised NFL drafts from 1980 to 1989. We all think about Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, how so many of our great guys have stepped aside. And for anyone to do anything for 4 years is a lot. You usually get through high school in 4 years. College, sometimes 4 years if you're lucky. 40 years sitting on the same seat. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, Bob Lee has been an ambassador for broadcasting sports, Charlton, over the 40 years that he's represented the mothership.
Yeah.
You know, he's done it with integrity and dignity. He's covered every sport, Charlton. You know, from the World Series when they had the earthquake out in the Bay Area,
That's right.
you know, the Boston Marathon bombing, Charlton. You talked about the NFL draft. He's been the highlight when it came to ESPN's big stories.
Yeah.
He was the guy that was there that could deliver the story with the humanitarian side being involved in it, Charlton. He, you know, in the latter years with the company, he went to Outside the Lines,
Yeah.
where he wanted to do more narrative stories, Charlton, other than just talking about the highlights.
Yeah.
Which, you know, expounded on his greatness, that he put a face to what athletes were, Charlton.
That's right.
Whether it was local or whether it was around the world. These are the things that many broadcasters today don't understand on television. That it's not about them. It's about bringing humanity
Right.
to a sports story.
Right. No, I loved watching them over the years. You know, 40 years is a long time, but it doesn't seem that long when you're doing what you love. And I can speak for myself, I grew up around sports and entertainment. Even as a young boy, I remember there were some 49ers that came to my mother's house, and I thought, man, these guys are big. And what I really remember, I was about maybe 10 years old at the time, but they ate all the spaghetti that Mama had made. She made it big bowls of it too big. There's about 8 NFL football players, and they ate all of the food, Big Z, at my mama's house, and I realized that it's first come, first serve. So when Mama says it's time to eat, don't be polite for the guests. Go get yours first. But just being around that and being around athletes, and I think what it did for me, everybody goes through something, but you can't drive down the road looking in the rearview mirror. You'll run into something. It's okay to take a peek every now and then and see what's on the side of you, but you got to have your eye on the prize. And I've known athletes that have been through good and bad stuff, but they keep their eye on the prize. And for someone to sit there for 40 years and analyze that, it makes it seem like the blink of an eye. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, you think about the time that has passed, what has transpired in America
Yeah.
over the last 40 years. But the consistency of Mr. Lee being on ESPN and delivering his message, Charlton, with integrity. That's the thing about it. He never showboated.
Right.
As we see so many of these guys that they bring in now, the new wave
Yeah.
of the network, where everybody's got to be in a skin-tight suit. They got to get their hair done greatly.
Yeah.
They got the makeup pristine, male and female. You don't know which is which sometimes.
Yeah. Yep.
But, you know, Bob Lee, you know, as he gracefully moved through the years. You could see how he matured more and more each year. And you think about the number of people that fell by the wayside while he was staying consistent, Charlton, in doing what he did for 40 years.
Yeah.
That's admiration.
Yeah, that's admiration. And I just appreciate men and women all over the sports universe that do what they got to do, and they make it exciting for those who don't play the game but live vicariously through them. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause and come back. We're going to talk about some things on with the NFL. Also, Major League Baseball, the Yankees are swinging the bat, Big C. We'll take a Big C pause, and when we come back, we hope that you'll swing the bat with us. We'll be right back in just a moment. All right, we are back on the Big C pause, and I want to thank everyone for following Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. You can follow us on Spreaker. You can follow Big C Sports on what's called YouTube. You can follow Big C Sports on TV with Xfinity Comcast. And if you have that app in your home called Alexa, when you go home, say, Alexa, play Big C Sports podcast, you hear our sponsors come up, and then you hear, welcome to the show, and then we'll thank you for all of your support. Big C, I want to bring up something, because sports is amazing. I know we talked about the World Cup. We talked about the temperatures at all-time record highs in Europe. We talked about the tragedies down on the southern border of the United States of America. Are we really the land of the free and the home of the brave with liberty and justice for all? We really got to question that. But something else I want to look at that maybe is not as ominous. About 20% of college athletic trainers, they reported in a recent survey that a coach played an athlete who was deemed medically out of participation. Now, the NCAA coaches have too much clout, and it concerns athletic trainers, but it should also concern those players. Andre Iguodala just had some statements to say that they were saying that he was healthy when he really wasn't. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you think about professional athletes versus college athletes. At least with professional athletes, you have a contract that protects you.
Yeah.
College athletes, you're always threatened with, we'll take your scholarship.
Take it away, yep.
And this is nothing new, Charlton. I can remember this from when I was playing.
Yeah.
We had a tight end one time who had broke a bone in his shoulder.
Yeah.
And they had threatened to take his scholarship because he wouldn't play.
Yep.
Which they couldn't, and he was knowledgeable enough to know that all he had to do was, be injured, and he kept his scholarship. And he stopped playing football and kept his scholarship.
Yeah.
But players now, Charlton, because they have this fantasy that I'm going to be the next great professional athlete, is that they go out and play injured and they hinder their careers.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you think about last year in college football, when you think about Tua Tagovailoa for Alabama, everybody saw him injure his knee in a game. And then he re-injured his knee again a week later.
Yeah.
And he kept playing. The university kept playing him. His backup quarterback, Jalen Hurts, had an ankle operation.
Yeah.
They kept playing him, Charlton.
Yeah. Well, the power that you don't have when you're a student athlete, it may not be there financially, but you got to know your rights. They can't lose your scholarship because you get hurt. But I want to.
Well, most young men don't understand that, Charlton. They're told, you can't make the team in the tub.
Right. Yeah.
If you're injured, you're never going to play again.
Yeah.
There's always somebody behind you, Charlton. Now in college athletics, that is just as good.
Yeah.
So players are pressured in many ways.
Yeah.
Coaches are always putting the pressure. We need you to win. We can't win without you.
Yep.
I can remember that in college myself. I had a severe neck injury.
Yeah.
And I was told, we can't win without you.
Yeah.
You have to play. You have to play. I couldn't practice for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But you have to play. Even on the professional level, Charlton.
Yep.
These things occur. Knee operations. You're going out there playing. So there's nothing you can do as an athlete because the pressure is put on you. And we talk about the death of Mr. McNair last year in Maryland.
Yeah.
The pressure was put on him by the coaching staff and training staff. That you're lazy, you're slow. I mean, you think about the derogatory things that they say to athletes to try to demoralize them, to force them to go out there and participate when they're not medically cleared to do that.
Yeah, they're told to toughen up. Andre Iguodala, obviously multi-millionaire. and he's promoting a book and he does investments now. But I just saw him on a program, and he was saying how he had a cracked bone, and they were saying no, it was just a small injury. But he's like, no, it's cracked. Whatever it was, they have stuff you can do to get rid of the pain, even though it doesn't heal right away. Is that I'm just being honest. Is that a slap in the face to the Golden State Warriors organization? Because there's talk that Durant may have been told the same thing. Now, I don't know if he said it was with the Golden State Warriors or not, but just like you just said about some of the college athletes, I'm sure people don't want to hear athletes coming out and saying that someone told them they could play when they knew they couldn't. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the luxury of professional athletes is that they can always derive a second opinion outside the medical staff of the organization that they're with.
Right.
College athletes normally don't have that opportunity to say, well, I'm going to fly to another city and get another opinion from an independent doctor.
Yeah.
Professional athletes have that opportunity, Charlton. So when they're misdiagnosed, we saw that with Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
He felt that San Antonio misdiagnosed the injury that he had. He sat out the entire year and refused to play and forced the trade.
Yeah.
So athletes are very conscionable. Professional athletes, Charlton. College athletes don't have that option.
Yeah, and they're more savvy, and it's this. I'm glad that we could talk about it because somebody is going through something, and they need to know they're not alone. North Dallas 40 told us about that, a movie that chronicles sports injuries, and you got to take the needle. You don't have to take the needle. You got to be consciously aware. NCAA president, I think it's Mark Emmert, recently lobbied the California State Assembly committees to postpone a bill that would allow college athletes to profit from their names and images and likenesses. And he's asking that they postpone the bill while the NCAA reviews its own rules. We already know the rules of the NCAA. Don't pay those black guys nothing. They already told us the rules. I would hope, if there's any justice in the universe, that this gentleman would lose his position as a commissioner or any committee that he's a part of the NCAA, and let him do volunteer work since he doesn't believe in getting paid for your labor. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Mark Emmert only makes about $7 million a year, Charlton, governing the NCAA.
Yeah.
The biggest pimp organization in America.
Yep.
They have more free labor than any company in America, Charlton, the NCAA does.
Yeah.
And they turn the largest profit in America and don't have to pay their employees.
Nope.
So when you think about the players on the college level, Charlton, and we're talking every level from junior college on up.
Yeah.
That are interns. They are unpaid interns. So people who think that it's fair that athletes are going to school and, they say, well, they're getting an education. No, not all of them are getting an education.
You can't eat it.
But you think about it. If they're getting a free education, the value of a college athlete in Division I football in a Power 5 conference, the value of that athlete is over $600,000 to the university.
Wow.
Over $600,000 to the university. So that you're saying the athlete's getting an $80,000 scholarship. Well, in turn, the university's making $600,000 off of them, Charlton.
Yeah. Well, we know most athletic programs, they operate on $100,000 plus budget, and it's all because of free labor. And if you're a good school, we know it's free black labor for about 70% of it. And I just get tired of older white men saying, don't pay black people. Don't pay them. Don't pay them for their name rights. Don't pay them for their likelihood of how they look. Don't pay them for their images. Don't let them profit from their likeness. Don't let them get any money. Just let them get out there and play and get beaten up and get CTE issues. But we're going to give them a hat and a uniform. That's a shame.
Charlton, think about this. Imagine how much money CBS made off of Zion Williams last year at Duke.
Oh, a lot.
They had a Zion cam. They had a network dedicated to Zion Williams.
Yeah.
That you could download the app and follow him all the time.
Yeah.
CBS was charging for that.
They sure were.
CBS made hundreds of millions of dollars off of Zion Williams last year, probably in the $1 billion range.
Yeah.
Because everybody wanted to pay attention to every game he played, his practices, and all of those things.
Yeah.
Why couldn't that money have gone to Zion Williams, Charlton?
Yeah.
Or at least half of it. We should have been allowed to make money off his likeness.
Yeah.
But CBS is paying Mark Emmert to allow them to exploit a college athlete.
Yeah.
And so they're not willing to give up that money because these athletes are making the networks rich, Charles.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a dumb question. It won't be the first one. It won't be the last one. In the universe, ask a lot of dumb questions. It's how you learn. How should people address Mr. Emirates? I think he has, what you said, about $7 million a year coming in. At some point in time, people have to ask him in front of these student athletes how he justifies them making him big and fat in the bank account. But if they get any money, he wants to vote against them getting any money from, not for his breathing, not for his weightlifting, not for his playing in 100-degree temperature, doing double days. He don't want them to get money from their own efforts. How can a person, he's like Mitch McConnell, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, until the white students stand up and say we want to get paid, there's nothing that will be done. As long as there's African-American students who are always leading the torch, saying that we should receive compensation for our likeness, it will always have backlash. Until the white student athletes stand up and say, no, we're not going to take it anymore either.
Yeah.
We're going to be compensated. Not that we want to. We're going to be. And that's the difference, the dialogue, the way you have it, Charlton. You have to say we're going to be compensated, not we want to be compensated. But the march has to be led by the white student athletes, Charlton. Then you'll see a change of what the routine is for the NCAA.
Well, I heard there's a book by Tim Weiss called, I think it's called White Skin Privilege, and Cornel West called Race Matters. I think they're president, Big C. I wonder if the debate tonight with the Democrats will talk about whether it's Cory Booker or de Blasio or Castro, Delaney, whether it's Gabbard, all of them, O'Rourke, whoever it is, Elizabeth Warren. And then tomorrow you have Joe Biden, you have Michael Bennett, you have Kamala Harris. I mean, everybody, there's Andrew Yang, Marianne Williamson. I wonder, because Bernie Sanders is pushing for eliminating debt for college students, and maybe they don't care about sports. I know they do. But I wonder if they will bring up that athletes should be paid for their labor. Politicians get paid. They all get donations. And many of them, if they don't get some donations in the next month, they'll be dropping out of it also, because money is not there. You think they will even address that issue even for a minute, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, no, Charlton, it will never be brought up about student athletes. Everybody's going to sit here and attack a scenario talking about what they plan for the future of America, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, it's easy to talk about it. I would like for somebody to put together a manifesto.
Yeah.
And say, this is what it is. I'm putting it in writing.
Yeah.
This is my contract with America.
Yeah.
Words are simple, and everybody will sit there in a debate and spew back and forth.
Get it in writing.
It's just like the Mueller report that was produced by the special counsel.
Yeah.
This is, if you're running for president of the United States, put together a manifesto, a contract with the people.
In writing.
These are the things that I'm going to implement for the country.
Yeah.
Let people read it. Don't keep talking about it. Put it in writing.
Yeah. Money talk, and I think something else about horseshoes walk, Big Z. It's all fair in love and war. And speaking of
Unless
money,
you're at Santa Anita, they can carry it out.
Well, they care more about the horses than the Mexican dying trying to get to freedom in the land of the free, home of the brave. They're not trying to come to America. They're trying to come to the land of the free and the home of the brave. It just happens to be the United States of America, which is supposed to open its arms to everybody. And just imagine those kids being white with their parents deceased trying to get to freedom. There's more attention on a white lady in college who went to an airport, had the money to fly on an airplane, and she I guess took a Uber in Utah, and they can't find her. I hope that she's okay, but there's more attention put on that and the horses than Mexicans dying trying to come here. They just have different skin color. You can Google it. Big C, New York Yankees. Talk about, there's a movie called Field of Dreams. I think Kevin Costner played in it. And said, if you build it, they will come. Well, them good old boys in New York, them Yankees, Big C, I'm talking like Charles Barkley, not them Yankees, but I'll say the Yankees. 29 consecutive games, a major league record. It's amazing because they keep homering, Big C. It's almost as if they do it every game now, and in fact, 29 in a row, will they even get to 40 in a row? It's like watching James Harden will he keep scoring 30 books. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is an amazing feat when we're talking about the long ball in Major League Baseball this year, Charlton. leaving the yards at a record pace. And the Yankees with 29 consecutive games, Charlton, hitting a couple more home runs to date.
Yeah.
You know, and no one's talking about players being on steroids. Everyone's saying the ball is juice.
The ball's juice
But the
now.
Yankees are going to have an interesting series this weekend, Charlton,
Yeah.
where they're going across the pond and they're going to be playing in Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
Will they have jet lag? Will they carry the same baseballs over to England, Charlton,
Yeah.
that they're using in New York?
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. And we know the heat that's going to be over there, so it can be a launching pad to get them up over 30 this weekend, Charlton.
Yeah, the balls will fly the hotter it gets to. We know that's important. Again, everybody has to stay healthy and stay hydrated. I want to look at, well, the Yankees won today over the Blue Jays 8-7, but there's a lot of talk in the West Coast about players, and one of the prodigal sons for the San Francisco Giants, Baumgartner, will he be in a Giants uniform by the weekend, Big C, when the Yankees and the Red Sox throw the first pitch over in England? But when you think about Matt Baum, his ERA is above 4, so he's not a dominant pitcher anymore. And I know sometimes when guys hit a home run on him, he says, "Hey, quit looking at me and run around the plate and hurry up," as if he's that crotchety old man now. But he was dominant for the last several years. But is he hurting his value? Because if you have an ERA over 4, that's not like he's a 1.2 ERA or 2.89. 4 is not that impressive. Who's going to give that money for him? Or will they sell him as a playoff pitcher, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, most likely a team that's in contention will make a move from Baumgartner.
Yeah.
He's just going to be a stopgap pitcher. He's not going to go to a team for long term, Charlton. They will bring him in, do the playoff run, and release him.
Yeah.
Everybody in professional sports, Charlton, their time runs out.
Yeah.
And that's what you're looking at with Baumgartner. I mean, he was a dominant pitcher during all of San Francisco's World Series runs.
Yeah.
But, that time comes when you get into your mid-30s that you lose a little something on that pitch, Charlton.
Yeah, and I hate to see that happen, but, it happens to everybody, Big C. I just remember so many great pitchers over the years. Even CeCe Sabathia, he's not what he was 10 years ago, but who is? He can still bring it, Big C. I want to just touch on tonight's Major League Baseball schedule, because baseball is a great game, and when you have great players moving around from a city where they help win, World Series 3 in the last 10 years, it's a good thing. He's had a lot of success. The New York Mets at the Philadelphia Phillies. You have Texas at Detroit, Washington at Miami, Oakland A's at St. Louis. You have Seattle at Milwaukee, Atlanta at Chicago, Cincinnati at the LA Angels. You have Pittsburgh at Houston, Tampa at Minnesota, and then some matchup games, Chicago at Boston, Toronto at New York Yankees. Then you have the Kansas City Royals at Cleveland. Cleveland! I love saying that word, the way LeBron James calls it out. San Diego at Baltimore. The LA Dodgers getting beaten up in Arizona today, but it's okay to take a day off, Big C. And Colorado at San Francisco. The Dodgers being spanked in Arizona in the desert. They even had the air conditioner on, but it didn't stop them from getting beat down, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you get down there in rattlesnake country, Charlton, and those Diamondbacks, know that if they're going to be in contention, they have to beat the Dodgers.
Yep.
The Dodgers have such a commanding lead, but this is how you close the gap in those head-to-head series.
Yeah, it's really important that baseball this time of year, and again, more talk about putting netting around the stadiums. We've heard the teams that have talked about it have been the Dodgers and the Nationals and also the White Sox. I'm sure more people will start talking about putting netting around the stadiums too, because we got to have it. We just can't have more people being injured, especially when they're saying, we need help and we're on these iPads, etc. They got to get that help, Big C. I want to talk about a few things before we close out on the NFL. And I know I saw a receiver today for the Patriots, and I think it was Edelman. He was talking about, what he's doing going forward in the offseason. Now, maybe it's just me. He had a clean haircut. He didn't have a clean haircut during the game in the Super Bowl last year, but it seemed like he was slurring his speech. Maybe he was tired. I don't know if you've noticed that, but he had, I think, 10 catches in the Super Bowl, Big C. But it seems like, I know Gronk stepped away, and Gronk, if you listen to him speak, he doesn't talk the way he used to. But I think it was Edelman. He was slurring his speech. Maybe he had too many libations. I want to know if you saw that, Big C. Your thoughts?
I didn't see it, Charlton, but, athletes, you never know what they're going to say and how they're going to sound at any time.
Yeah.
I mean, so many things get altered in audio these days when athletes speak, and you don't know whether he was tired or, just got through working out, or as you say, it just left one of Boston's finest establishments. So, I don't put much credence at this time of the year when they start talking about football players, Charlton, and their actions.
Yeah.
It's about what they do on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, the way sports has gotten, is sports has become tabloidism.
Yep.
Is that everybody is trying to come up with the story about what an athlete is doing, where an athlete is going, what's an athlete's outlook. All you have to do is ask the athlete the question. I think they're all prescient enough and intelligent enough these days where they can answer a simple question instead of all these speculation shows.
Yeah, he may have just stepped out of one of Boston's fine. Maybe they opened cheers for the beginning of the Red Sox and Yankee series across the pond. I do want to look at the quarterback AFC East. The biggest questions are at quarterback. You think about the New England Patriots, Tom Brady, a 9-time Super Bowl appearances. Will he get to 10? That's amazing. Could be if he plays another 2 years, might get to 10, Big C. And then the Jets and the Miami Dolphins, the Buffalo Bills have second-year, first-round draft picks that are trying to establish themselves. But I think they still will all pale in comparison to Tom Brady, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at all three of those teams, think about how many number one draft picks that the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, and the New York Jets have had at quarterback since Tom Brady's entering into the NFL, Charlton.
Yeah.
They've gone through a whole host of number one draft picks at quarterback.
Yeah.
And yet they have not been able to dethrone Tom Brady, a 6th-round draft pick out of Michigan.
Yeah.
He was made 9 Super Bowl appearances in his tenure with the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
So as everybody, all these shows and stuff talk about franchise quarterbacks, the future of the NFL. The future of the NFL is called the present, Charlton.
Yeah.
It's not forecasting 5 years down the road, hoping that somebody develops.
Yeah.
The thing about the NFL is talk about now. What have you done for me lately?
Yep.
That's what the NFL is.
Yeah.
Because when you look around the league, and this league is hoisted full of number one draft picks at quarterback that haven't done anything since they've been in the league, Charlton.
Yep.
And this is where the Eastern Conference of the NFL is right now. You think about the kid Allen in Buffalo. Everybody said he has this big arm, okay?
Yeah.
But does he understand the NFL game? I mean, that's what they used to say about black quarterbacks. Well, he has a big arm, but, he doesn't understand the game.
Right.
But they say, he has a high football IQ.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, Josh Rosen, who was supposed to be the most intelligent quarterback coming out of the draft last year.
Yep.
Arizona got rid of him after one go-around.
Yeah.
They didn't keep him, even after they traded up to get him.
Yep.
And then we look at Sam Darnold, who did in the pros as a rookie what he did as a junior at USC.
Yeah.
He led the conference in interceptions.
He's colorblind.
So did he make any strides of improvement?
Yeah.
So you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And when you got all of these so-called experts telling you how good these guys are, and yet none of them have delivered, and they said, well, you need some players around them.
Yeah. Yep. They all say that.
Every team is full of 53 players. Every team. NFL players. But the quarterback is the guy pulling the trigger, Charlton.
Yeah.
And those 3 young quarterbacks, they're going to really have to upgrade their games this year, and they have to be in playoff contention. Otherwise, they're going to be bust.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks, I want to throw it across to the West Coast. In the NFC West, is it really up for grabs this year? You look at the Rams, they won the division last year, went on and lost the Super Bowl. Maybe they shouldn't have even been there if things were fair with what happened when they robbed the player. They got robbed down in New Orleans, Big C, but it's all fair and love and war. And that's what it means for those of you who juxtapose the truth from reality. Big C, you think about Seattle, maybe the best quarterback on the West Coast, and Russell Wilson. They were a wild card team, and they're rebuilding. Now the 49ers, they show a lot of promise, at least in the paper and writing they do. But looking at high-priced quarterbacks to deliver, and then you look at the rookie down in Arizona, which will be under a microscope this year, because people will always talk about his size. If he doesn't succeed, they're going to say, well, his size. If he does succeed, they're going to say, well, they have a good receiving core and a good offensive line. Give me your feelings on West Coast quarterbacks in the NFC West, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is a make-or-break year down in Los Angeles. will Todd Gurley be healthy? Can he last an entire season? Now, they lost C.J. Anderson to free agency.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley had a knee injury that they did not disclose, and he had surgery during the offseason.
Yeah.
How will he respond to that tender knee, Charlton? This is the same knee that he injured while he was in college at the University of Georgia.
Yeah.
You look at Seattle, and you know, everyone talking about rebuilding in Seattle, that Seattle let go of some key players. Now, there's a coach, Charlton, on the East Coast that does that every year.
Yep.
And everybody calls him a genius, Bill
Right.
Belichick.
Yeah.
He gets rid of players when he feels that their time is up.
Yep.
Not that the league says their time's up. When he feels their
He said
time
it's
is
time
up.
to go, yeah.
Pete Carroll has done the same thing. Everybody said, oh, the Seattle's going to be nothing. He's got rid of the Legion of Boom on defense.
Right.
What did they do? They went to the playoffs.
The playoffs.
They have Russell Wilson,
Yeah.
who is the most intelligent quarterback on the West Coast, and his ability and his savvy on the field, Charlton, is uncanny.
Yeah.
Then when you look at San Francisco, Jimmy Garoppolo coming back off a knee injury, and they're going to use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
All you have to go back and remember when Tom Brady came back off of a knee injury, Charlton.
Yeah.
All they did was go to the Super Bowl, okay?
Yeah.
So Jimmy Garoppolo came out of that same system. San Francisco has spent a lot of money in free agency
Yeah.
and on some high-round draft picks.
Yeah.
So Jimmy G has to deliver in San Francisco. If you think about what the young undrafted rookie quarterback that they had last year, Charlton,
Yeah.
how well he played, the kid out of Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Well, out of southern Mississippi. And if Jimmy Garoppolo can't play as well as him, did the 49ers screw up by giving him all that money?
Oh, yeah, we know the
And,
answer is yes.
and then when you talk about Kyler Murray down in Arizona,
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, I see opportunity written all over him, Charlton. It's just a matter of them giving him some protection, and that's with any quarterback with any team.
Yeah.
Can they upgrade the offensive line from what they had last year to allow him any sort of time to get rid of the ball? But if they play to his skill set, Charlton, on that offense in Arizona,
Yeah.
this is the team that can be at least 500.
You know, when I think about people making so much money, I think about Curt Flood. I know he did it for baseball, making free agency available for everybody. And every rich person really, there needs to be a Curt Flood award, because when they sign the big contracts, they always thank the agents. Have you noticed they think, whether it's Rosenhaus or Steinberg or anybody, they'll thank the agent. His agent did a great job. It was Floyd that did that, Big C. You think about Curt Flood when he made free agency, he sued for it, and every league benefited. There should be. Will you think how every sport should acknowledge him because he opened that door? Your thoughts?
Well, no, he should, Charlton, but he's an African-American, so they get pushed by the wayside.
Yeah.
And you think about every free agency now, every free agent in all sports, Charlton, they don't even know who Curt Floyd is.
Yeah.
All-star shortstop with the St. Louis Cardinals, Charlton, 11-time All-Star.
Yeah.
He fought for free agency in Major League Baseball, Charlton, and got ostracized from the game. He got banned from baseball because he fought for everybody, not just for himself.
Yeah.
And what he provided for Major League Baseball to be what it is now, where Bryce Harper could go out and get $330 million.
Yeah.
Manny Machado could go out and get $300 million, Charlton.
Yep.
And they're not 11-time All-Stars like Curt Floyd was.
Yeah, that's true. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Spreaker. You can follow us on YouTube. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity Comcast Television. You can also follow us if you have that app in your home called Alexa. When you get home, say, Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You'll hear from our sponsors, and then you'll hear welcome to the show, and then we'll do our show. I really appreciate what we do with Big C Sports. I know it's all fair and love and more, and people talk about what they want to talk about. I hope that the debate tonight will cover fairness for all people, human beings. And let's start punishing people that call other ethnic groups monsters. America's too good for that. That's my own opinion. And I hope that we'll have some politicians, show a backbone and do that. Big C, we know the College World Series, a champion will be crowned tonight. We wish him nothing but the best. Back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in this sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I'm going to have to do my best inner Peyton Manning. Omaha! Omaha! And I'm not talking about the baseball game, Charlton. I want the steak company to sponsor us and send me some of those steaks.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you already have your own steaks, Big C. Steaks are always good. I don't like them rare like a lot of good old boys do. We like them when you can't see the blood coming off the plate. But speaking of blood, you can have blood too every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, as we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to deal with that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.